5 richest presidents in U.S. history. You will be shocked. What is the world's most prestigious job, in your opinion? For a lot of people, this would be becoming President of the United States of America. The position has prestige, but the salary isn't as high as one might think. The annual salary of the President of the United States is $400,000. They also have a $50,000 spending account. Not bad, but not as good as what the very wealthy make either. However, the President of the United States' slash was doing fairly well monetarily. In other words, it is estimated that Abraham Lincoln had a net worth of $1.36 million in modern currency. And that president is regarded as one of the worst. Their financial situations were all going well. Thus, yes, the majority of presidents have had good financial standing, rich or poor. So who have been the wealthiest presidents in American history? These are the wealthiest American presidents then. Number 5. Andrew Jackson, $133 million in net worth. Andrew Jackson was poor as a youngster. Afterward, he became one of the most divisive and illustrious presidents in American history. How then did Jackson get so wealthy? However, it wasn't entirely self-made because in 1794, he married into fortune when he married Rachel Donaldson. Still, he earned even more money during his time in the service. However, Jackson's embrace of slavery personally led to him being one of the wealthiest presidents in American history. Enslaved workers grew his cotton, built and tended his house, and helped him gain his social foothold in Southern society, according to History.com. Up to 161 slaves were owned by Jackson, who also bought and sold them, exploited their labor to increase his wealth, and even brought some of them to the White House to work for him. His massacring of Native Americans and eviction from their land is the most contentious of his acts. What is talked about much less is what happened to that land, though. It eventually developed into the South's cotton kingdom and the hub of the slave trade. Jackson also made a tidy profit by selling that land to the upcoming generation of cotton barons while working as a public servant paid by the government. By the time he was elected as the 7th President of the United States from 1829 to 1837, Old Hickory had constructed a palace on his 1050-acre homestead, the Hermitage. Jackson's net worth, adjusted for inflation, was around $132.6 million when he departed from office. Number 4. Theodore Roosevelt, $140 million net worth. Roosevelt came from an affluent and illustrious family and inherited a large sum of money. In 1878, an item in the New York Times stated that Teddy Roosevelt, who was a Harvard student at the time, received an inheritance of $60,000 on the death of his reforming father. Today, that amounts to about $1.3 million. However, unlike his businessman father, Roosevelt, the 26th president from 1901 to 1909, had little interest in money and business. He was an enthusiastic politician and public servant who, at the age of 23, was elected to the New York State Assembly. He lived off his inheritances in the years after his father's death until he eventually put most of his money on Dakota Territory ranches. He started writing to sustain himself after losing most of his money on his ranching endeavors. He did, however, inherit far more, even though his years of service as a public worker helped him make up some of his lost income. Furthermore, the 235-acre estate he created at Sagamore Hill is currently one of the most valued homes on Long Island, despite his prior unsuccessful real estate ventures. It appears that he has learned from his past financial errors. It's difficult to pinpoint his precise luck. Nonetheless, with a current net worth of 9 figures or over $140 million, he's frequently ranked among the top 5 richest U.S. presidents. Number 3. Thomas Jefferson, who has a $241.7 million net worth. The 3rd President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, acquired a fortune of $212 million and served from 1801 to 1809. When he was only a teenager, he inherited 3,000 acres of land close to Charlottesville, Virginia. The land was increased to 5,000 acres during Jefferson's tenure in Virginia, and he constructed the renowned Monticello residence, which was regarded as one of the marvels of architecture at the time. Before becoming president, Jefferson amassed a substantial fortune as a politician. Some estimate that he made over $241 million. Toward the end of his life, nevertheless, he had a significant debt load. Some even claim that he was completely impoverished. The cause? Large estates were owned by the majority of that era's most influential land barons. However, they lacked material affluence. Instead, land and slaves were used as indicators of their riches. The planter class in Virginia also frequently took on massive debts. But Thomas Jefferson was operating in a game of deception whose results would be inherited by his successors. Jefferson possessed a large estate that included Monticello, numerous farms, and hundreds of slaves. He quickly accumulated more debt than his slave farms could pay due to his lavish lifestyle, large-scale property purchases, and investments. Burdened with debt and responsibilities, his family was compelled to liquidate his house, land, slaves, pets, furnishings, and everything else, relying solely on charity upon his passing. Number 2, George Washington, $587 million in net worth. The founding father of the country, who had no remorse whatsoever for his actions, was rewarded monetarily through investments, officer pay, and survey fees. In addition, between the years 1789 and 1797, his salary as president accounted for 2% of the whole federal budget. The Georgetowner asserts that this would be the equivalent of a staggering $60 billion in current dollars. However, Washington's wealth came primarily from an inheritance that he received. I want to emphasize once more that this was not actual cash. Instead, it was the 300 slaves who toiled on the 8,000 acres of gorgeous farmland that he owned at Mount Vernon in Virginia. It is important to point out that Martha, his wife, was also the beneficiary of a sizable bequest from her father. In addition, Washington owned land in the state of New York, the Ohio Valley, and the District of Columbia. At the time of the first president's passing, it was estimated that his estate had a value of $525,000, which is equivalent to $525 million in today's money. On the other hand, some estimates put this figure closer to $587 million. Number 1. Donald Trump, $2.9 billion in net worth. Even at the lowest estimate, Donald Trump is the richest president to have ever been in terms of inflation adjustments. Trump entered the political sphere after a successful real estate career in New York City. Like most of the wealthiest presidents in American history, Trump inherited his wealth. Following his death, real estate developer Fred Trump left Donald Trump a bequest of almost $40 million. However, there may have been some fraudulent tax evasion involved as well. Trump used his wealth to build an empire in business, which included the real estate and hospitality company, the Trump Organization. 12 golf courses, in addition to several hotels, skyscrapers, and vineyards, are among his worldwide holdings. He has, meanwhile, also accepted 6 company bankruptcies. That being said, it's not quite easy to figure out his exact net worth. Estimates from the media and his FEC declaration differ greatly. According to Forbes and Bloomberg, Trump's net worth was $2.9 billion and $2.3 billion, respectively, when he was a presidential candidate. Trump has asserted a much-disputed $10 billion net worth for himself, so we included what other people have confirmed. Additionally, Forbes estimates Donald Trump's wealth twice a year. Before the pandemic, Trump's net worth was far higher than what it would have been if he had used his father's money to invest in the S&P 500. But after the COVID incident, Trump's company saw a downturn while the market saw an increase, meaning he would have been richer if he had invested all of it in the S&P 500. In any case, 45's wealth will probably rise following his presidency, and whatever the precise sum, he remains a billionaire. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.